Hi there! Thanks a lot for stopping by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, lifelong Beatle fan, and boy, this is just a terrific, just a great little Beatles concert poster from the 1966 tour in Cleveland, Ohio. I just love it. I don't think, even though like the Candlestick Park poster has great art elements and beautiful colors, I don't think the black and white works against this at all. I think it's just, I would call it spectacular. I mean, it's just such an advertising poster meant to sell tickets, not meant to wow people or be framed and put on the wall. It's an advertising piece, and yet it's so well put together and so charming. I just love this thing. You know, the Beatles obviously had starred in A Hard Day's Night in 1964, and everybody says that movie was fabulous in black and white, and I think even someone like Roger Ebert said it would have been, the movie would not have been as good in color. You know, this doesn't need color. It works so well. It's with great different fonts and great wording. I think it's just a fabulous poster. It is on cardboard, and little designs on the back there. That's a funny thing about boxing style posters, is often notes were left on the back and things. And it's 14.5 by 20 inches, window card. And, you know, just from the top, I mean, look at that wording. Beatles concert, ticks on sale here. I mean, it's not only a great, you know, exciting, direct message, but all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, this is not your typical telephone pole poster. Hello? This was not posted around town on construction site fences and stuff because it says on sale here. My goodness, that means this, you know, it gives no locations. It's not going to tell you other locations because they're on sale right here. So this was only posted where tickets were sold for the concert. That would include, I guess, record stores, musical instrument stores, department stores, and drug stores. So, wow, that's a really different feature, and one that I find really exciting. And then, of course, you've got this beautifully redundant, but really just, you know, the Grand Slam homer, the Beatles dash live dash in person with that great photo, which was their standard 1966 publicity photo. In fact, I just really love the way this says live in person right under John Lennon's face. I guess I'm giving away a little, betraying my interest that John's my favorite Beatle, but just, you know, just the thought, live in person, there he is, just John. I just love the positioning of the type in that particular aspect. And then under that, you've got, of course, the standard information, Cleveland Stadium, Sunday, August 14th, and then 7:30 p.m., all seats reserved, $3, $4, $5, and $5.50. And then you get into the opening acts, where it gets a little bit funny. Also, the circle, it says. Now, the circle is misspelled. That should be a K instead of that second C. And it's so ironic because you know how the circle got their funny spelling? I mean, obviously, you know, bands did that to grab attention and everything. You know where they got that funny spelling from? John Lennon! That's right, the circle was managed by Brian Epstein, and Lennon's the one who suggested that oddball spelling. And here, on the Beatles concert poster, right under Lennon's picture, live in person, circle is misspelled. It's not even misspelled as in C-I-R-C-L-E, the normal spelling. It's misspelled in another oddball way. So the irony is really fun there. Now, the circle had Red Rubber Ball was a huge hit, #2, earlier in '66, and Turn Down Day was just hitting. Unfortunately, after that, Epstein couldn't, you know, the circle themselves couldn't sustain, and they would sort of fade away. So then after the circle, you've got the Ronettes there, and of course we all know and love the Ronettes, the future Mrs. Phil Spector, Ronnie Spector. They'd get married a couple years later in the group. The Ronettes, 2 sisters and a cousin. And the Ronettes had actually met the Beatles over in England before the Fabs ever came to America. It was barely before they came to America. January of 1964, the Ronettes were touring with the Stones as an opening act, and they met the Beatles. And so, you know, that's one of the reasons perhaps the Beatles booked them on this tour as an opening act, because the Ronettes' chart history, their chart success, was well behind them by this point. Then you've got the Remains here, lower left portion there, the Remains, good old Barry and the Remains. True Beatle fans and collectors know that Barry Tashian actually wrote a book about this tour, touring with the Beatles, and it's a fascinating pictorial document of this tour. But, you know, the Remains really had been trying to break through for a couple of years, and this tour didn't do it either. They just couldn't break through on a national level, so they disbanded, unfortunately, within a few months. And then after the Remains, notice it says, and other exciting acts. Boy, what a diss for Bobby Hebb, huh? Bobby Hebb was on this tour, and Sunny, his big hit single, was #2 in the USA right now. So, yeah, but he's just another opening act. But actually, that's not too hard to figure out. He was probably simply a late addition to the tour, and this was only the third stop on the '66 tour, so it was printed before the first date even happened, and so on and so forth. So it was just a last-minute booking thing, I would certainly guess. Then it says below that, rain or shine, don't miss this historic show. Well, certainly, you know, historic in Cleveland lore, that's for sure, because besides being the last tour, anybody who was there saw the Beatles, they could say that the rest of their lives, the show was held up for 30 minutes when about 10% of the audience piled onto the field during the fourth song. The audience was about 20,000 people, and a couple thousand, police estimate, ran down onto the field and stormed the stage and everything. Nobody got up on the stage, but they ran on the field just having a grand old time to the Beatles, and the show was held up for 30 minutes. What's funny, those rowdy Cleveland crowds, the same kind of stoppage happened a couple of years earlier on the 1964 Beatles Tour of America. They had to stop the show for a while because of rowdy fans. And the Beatles did not play Cleveland in the year in between 1965. Now, you know, when you look at something like this, I mean, this is something, you know, you and I would buy and hang on our wall and everything. It's hard to remember that these were not made as souvenirs. These were made to be extremely disposable, and they were only made when ticket sales needed a boost. This was a marketing expense. Designing, printing, and distributing a concert poster was a promoter task. You know, nobody was collecting them yet, although one could argue '66, you know, San Francisco people were certainly starting to, but, you know, it wasn't a hobby yet, let's put it that way. So on the Beatles' 3 North American tours, in 1964, you have the Philly concert poster and Forest Hills, when they were part of, 10 other acts. And both of those are fairly unconventional posters. Neither one gives opening acts or ticket prices. Then in 1965, you have a Shea Stadium marquee poster where the Beatles are listed as one of, again, about half a dozen, 6 or 7 other acts. So that's not a fully normal concert poster. Then you get to '66, Beatles are playing the biggest buildings in the world, you know, or in America, baseball stadium, football stadiums and stuff, and ticket sales did need a help. And so you have concert posters for this, Cleveland, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, St. Louis, Shea Stadium, normal yellow and black, you know, these are all conventional concert posters with their picture and with ticket prices and stuff. And then, of course, the classic Candlestick Park poster. Some would say Dodger Stadium had a small paper poster. I don't buy it. That was not really a conventional poster by any stretch. I think it was just put up around Dodger Stadium itself. That's what the wording certainly indicates. So not counting that, naming just the cities I said, that's about 5 out of the 14 cities on the Beatles' last and 1966 tour had conventional concert posters like this, advertising pieces meant to move ducats. Another final thing I like about a local poster like this, a one-off if you will, not a tour blank, way down at the bottom with the printer's bug there, the union bug, it says printed by, it doesn't say printed by, but it says Jontzen, Cleveland. So that's, let's see if I can get that in for you. That's who made the poster. So there you have it. The Beatles on their famous, We're More Popular Than Jesus tour, where John Lennon was having to explain himself at every press conference, like every other show or something. But boy, do we remember everything fondly about this. And great poster to have, and I can say no more. Thank you for coming by. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.